What if I told you that God placed 20 of the most powerful plants on earth, not in a laboratory, but right in your backyard? Plants that ancient temples were built around, plants that the Bible mentions by name, plants that kept civilizations alive long before modern medicine existed. And today, we call this God's pharmacy. Today, we're going to walk through 20 of them. I'm going to show you their sacred history and how they can support your family's well-being. Stick around, because number 5 is a plant your grandmother probably used, and she was right all along. And number 20 was so powerful that there are legends about the church trying to control it. But before we dig in, a quick gardener's rule. We are exploring history and nature here. Always do your own research and talk to a doctor before treating any condition. Now, if you're ready to build your sacred garden, hit subscribe and let's get started. Number 1. Moringa. In Ayurveda, this wasn't just a tree. It was the tree of life. Ancient texts say healers used it to address over 300 conditions. Notice I said address. They didn't have pills. They had leaves. And modern science finds that gram for gram, moringa leaves contain 7 times the vitamin C of oranges and 4 times the calcium of milk. It is a powerhouse for supporting immune function and maintaining healthy blood sugar levels already within normal range. Think of it as a nutrient guardian, rooted right in your garden. Number 2, duckweed, the pond scum that NASA studied. I know what you're thinking. Pond scum? Really? Stay with me on this one. Because God has a way of hiding his greatest gifts in the most unlikely places. Duckweed is that tiny green plant floating on the surface of ponds and slow-moving streams. Most people see it and think, that's just algae, that's just waste. But NASA didn't think so. NASA studied duckweed as a potential food source for astronauts in space. Why? Because pound for pound, duckweed contains up to 45% protein. That's more than soybeans, more than most meats. It also doubles its biomass every 24 to 48 hours. So once you start growing it, it just keeps giving. The taste is mild, slightly green, similar to watercress. You can add it to soups, salads, or dry it into a nutrient-rich powder. And the best part? It grows in water. No soil needed, no weeding, no fuss. Think of it as the plant God disguised as a weed, so only the faithful would find it. Number 3, frankincense, the gift of the Magi that heals. Now, if you grew up reading the Bible, you already know this one. Frankincense was one of the 3 gifts the wise men brought to baby Jesus: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And there's a reason it was placed alongside gold, because in the ancient world, it was just as valuable. For over 3,000 years, frankincense resin has been burned in temples, churches, and sacred ceremonies. Across every major civilization, the Egyptians used it. The Romans used it. And if you've ever walked into a church and smelled that deep, warm, slightly lemony incense, that's frankincense. And here's where modern science gets interesting. Modern studies suggest frankincense contains boswellic acids, which are known for their soothing properties. We're talking about comfort for your joints, supporting respiratory health, and calming the mind. While it's not a replacement for medical treatment. For 3,000 years, people believed this scent carried their prayers to heaven and brought healing down to earth. Think of it as the scent that carries your prayers to heaven. and brings comfort on the way up. Number 4. Rue, the herb of grace. In Christianity, rue has been called the herb of grace for centuries. Priests used it to sprinkle holy water during blessings. It was planted at the entrances of churches and homes as a symbol of spiritual protection. And it wasn't just symbolic. Modern research shows that rue has genuine antimicrobial properties. It repels insects, and in traditional folk medicine, it was used to ward off everything from headaches to digestive problems. Now, I want to tell you something important here, because I care about your family's safety. Never handle rue in direct sunlight. The sap contains compounds that react with UV light and can cause painful burns on exposed skin. Always wear gloves when you're pruning or harvesting it. But once you know how to handle it safely, rue is a remarkable addition to your garden. Beautiful blue-green foliage, small yellow flowers, and a scent that most pests absolutely hate. Think of it as the bouncer at your garden's gate. It looks graceful, but nothing gets past it. Number 5. Mugwort, the dream guardian. This is the one I told you about. Across cultures and continents, mugwort has been used for one very specific purpose: protection, particularly protection while you sleep. In European folk tradition, bundles of dried mugwort were hung above doorways and placed under pillows to ward off nightmares and evil spirits. In Chinese medicine, it's the herb behind moxibustion, a healing practice that's been used for thousands of years. Modern science tells us mugwort contains compounds that purify indoor air and naturally repel mosquitoes and other insects. Now, a quick heads up: mugwort spreads aggressively. I mean aggressively. Plant it in containers unless you want it taking over your entire garden. Trust me on that one. But when you respect its boundaries, mugwort will respect yours. Think of it as a security system for your sleep. Silent, natural, always watching. You know, my grandmother used to hang dried mugwort above every doorway in her home. As a kid, I thought it was just decoration. She wasn't decorating, she was protecting, and science now confirms what she knew all along. Sometimes, the most powerful knowledge isn't in textbooks. It's in the hands of the women who came before us. All right, let's keep going. We've got 15 more plants to discover. Number 6. Lavender, the purple peace. Now you probably already know lavender. Maybe you've grown it. Maybe your mother grew it. But here's what most people don't realize. Lavender isn't just a pretty flower that smells nice. The ancient Romans used lavender in their baths. The word itself comes from the Latin lavar, meaning to wash. They believed it didn't just clean the body, it cleansed the spirit, and modern science backs that up. Clinical studies show that lavender essential oil reduces anxiety, improves sleep quality, and even lowers blood pressure. One study found it was as effective as certain anti-anxiety medications, without a single side effect. You can grow it in almost any zone. You can dry it, bundle it, make sachets for your pillows. You can brew it into tea. And every time that scent fills your home, you're inviting in a kind of peace that money can't buy. Think of it as wrapping your entire home in a blanket of calm. Number 7. Rosemary, the herb of remembrance. In ancient Greece, students wore garlands of rosemary during exams because they believed it strengthened memory. At weddings, brides carried it as a symbol of loyalty. And at funerals, mourners placed sprigs on coffins so the departed would not be forgotten. For thousands of years, rosemary has been the plant of remembrance. And here's what science says. Research from Northumbria University found that simply smelling rosemary essential oil improved memory performance by up to 75%. Other studies show it supports cognitive function, reduces mental fatigue, and may even help protect against age-related cognitive decline. You can grow rosemary right by your kitchen door. Use it in cooking, steep it in hot water for tea, or simply brush your hand against it every time you walk by and breathe in. Think of it as the plant that's quietly protecting your most precious gift, your memory. Number 8. Sage, the sacred smoke. If there is one plant on this list that connects nearly every spiritual tradition on Earth, it's sage. Native American tribes have burned sage in smudging ceremonies for centuries to cleanse a space, to invite positive energy, and to drive away negativity. In European folk medicine, sage was called the salvation plant. The very name comes from the Latin salvare, to save, to heal, and the science is remarkable. A 2007 study published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology found that burning sage, literally just burning it in a room, reduced airborne bacteria by 94% within 1 hour. 94%. Beyond that, sage tea supports digestion, reduces inflammation, and has been shown to improve memory and cognitive function. You can grow it in your garden, dry it into bundles, and light it whenever your home needs a reset. Think of it as purifying your home the way temples have done for millennia, one breath at a time. Number 9. Lemon balm, the anxiety eraser. If you've ever crushed a lemon balm leaf between your fingers, you know that scent. Bright, lemony, instantly calming. Lemon balm has been used in European herbal medicine for over 2,000 years. Monks grew it in monastery gardens, specifically to calm nerves and lift spirits. They called it the elixir of life. Modern research confirms it. Studies show lemon balm significantly reduces anxiety, improves sleep quality, and supports cognitive function. One clinical trial found that participants who took lemon balm extract felt a significant sense of calm within just 1 week. It doesn't erase anxiety like a magic wand, but it helps the body manage stress naturally. Think of it as God's gentle answer to a busy mind. Number 10. Ashwagandha, the ancient stress shield. In Sanskrit, ashwagandha means smell of the horse, not because of the scent, but because ancient healers believed it gave you the strength and vitality of a horse. For over 3,000 years, Ayurvedic medicine has used ashwagandha as the ultimate adaptogen, a plant that helps your body adapt to stress, no matter what kind. And the modern research is stacking up fast. Clinical studies show ashwagandha reduces cortisol levels, that's your stress hormone, by up to 30%. It improves sleep, boosts immune function, and supports healthy energy levels throughout the day. You can take it as a powder in warm milk, the traditional way, as a tea, as a supplement, or you can grow it in your garden. If you're in zones 8 and above, we're halfway through our list now, and I hope you're starting to see the pattern. Every single one of these plants has been protecting families for thousands of years. God's pharmacy just keeps providing. Think of it as a shield of strength, ancient, proven, unshakable. Number 11. Hyssop, the king's purifier. In Psalm 51, verse 7, King David wrote one of the most powerful prayers in the Bible. "Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. That's how sacred this plant was. A king, the greatest king of Israel, didn't ask to be cleansed with water. He asked to be cleansed with hyssop, and the science backs it up. Hyssop contains powerful antiviral and antibacterial compounds. It supports respiratory health, helps clear congestion, and has been used in herbal medicine to treat coughs and bronchitis for centuries. You can grow it as a low hedge in your garden, brew the leaves into tea, or dry it and use it in steam inhalation when cold season hits. Think of it as the purification plant of the Bible, sacred above, healing below. Number 12. Holy Basil, also known as Tulsi, the queen of sacred herbs. In India, Tulsi isn't just a plant. It's worshipped, literally. Families place Tulsi at the center of their courtyards, water it every morning, and pray beside it. They believe it's a living bridge between the human and the divine. The name Tulsi means the incomparable one, and after 3,000 years of Ayurvedic medicine, that title has held up. Modern science classifies Tulsi as an adaptogen, like ashwagandha. It reduces cortisol, supports immune function, balances blood sugar, and has powerful anti-inflammatory properties. You can grow Tulsi in a pot on your windowsill, brew the fresh leaves into tea. It has a warm, slightly peppery, clove-like flavor that's absolutely beautiful. Think of it as a sacred doorway between heaven and earth, growing right in your kitchen. And you know what? Let me share something a member of our community told me. One of our community members, a retired teacher from Georgia, told me she used to spend over $200 a month on supplements and pills, and she still couldn't sleep. Then she planted just 3 things: lavender, holy basil, and lemon balm. 6 months later, she wrote to me, "My garden has become my pharmacy, my church, and my therapy, all in one. $12 a year on seeds, instead of $200 a month on pills. All right, 8 more plants to go. And the next one, you've probably had it in your bathroom your entire life. Number 13, aloe vera, the plant of immortality. Now, you probably have an aloe vera plant somewhere in your house. Most people do, and most people use it for one thing: sunburns. But here's what you might not know. The ancient Egyptians called aloe vera the plant of immortality. Cleopatra used it in her daily skincare, and when pharaohs were buried, aloe was placed in their tombs as a gift for the afterlife. Modern science has identified over 75 active compounds in aloe vera gel, including vitamins, enzymes, amino acids, and anti-inflammatory agents. It supports digestion, boosts immune function, and accelerates wound healing. The plant you've been using for sunburns? It's been keeping civilizations healthy for 6,000 years. Think of it as eternal healing in a leaf. Number 14, chamomile, the mother's lullaby. Remember Peter Rabbit? When he came home sick from Mr. McGregor's garden, what did his mother give him? Chamomile tea. And Beatrix Potter knew exactly what she was writing. For over 2,500 years, chamomile has been the go-to remedy for mothers and grandmothers everywhere. Can't sleep? Chamomile. Upset stomach? Chamomile. Anxious child? Chamomile. And science agrees. Clinical studies show chamomile reduces anxiety, improves sleep quality, and soothes digestive issues. It's gentle enough for children and powerful enough for adults. Grow it in your garden. Pick the flowers, dry them, and brew a cup on those nights when the world feels like too much. Think of it as a cup of calm, brewed with love. Number 15. Echinacea, the immune warrior. Native Americans called Echinacea elk root because they observed that when elk were sick or wounded, they would seek out this plant and eat it. The animals knew something we're just now proving. Echinacea has been used for over 400 years by indigenous healers to treat infections, wounds, and fever. Modern research indicates it stimulates the immune system. Some studies suggest it may help shorten the duration of common cold symptoms when taken at the first sign. It's not a cure-all, but it is a powerful ally. Think of it as a warrior standing guard at your family's front line. Number 16. Valerian, the sleep root. Here's an interesting piece of history. The word Valerian comes from the Latin valere, meaning to be strong, to be well. And in ancient Rome and Greece, valerian root was prescribed for one thing above all else: sleep. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, recommended it, and for 2,000 years it's been the most trusted natural sleep remedy in the world. Modern research shows valerian works by increasing GABA levels in the brain, the same mechanism as prescription sleep medications. But without the dependency, without the side effects. Brew the dried root into tea about an hour before bed. The taste is strong, earthy, almost bitter, but the sleep it gives you, deep, peaceful, restorative. Think of it as God's own sleep remedy. No prescription needed. Number 17. St. John's wort, the light in the darkness. This plant is named after John the Baptist, traditionally harvested around St. John's Day, June 24th, when its bright yellow flowers are in full bloom. And for centuries, people believed those golden flowers carried the light of the sun itself. St. John's wort is one of the most studied plants for emotional balance. Many people use it to lift their spirits during darker days. Clinical trials have shown promising results for supporting positive mood. Now, I need you to listen closely here. This plant is powerful. It interacts with many modern medications. You must talk to your doctor before using it, because true wisdom is knowing not just what to use, but how to use it safely. Think of it as captured sunshine. Handle it with respect. Number 18. Myrrh, the tears of the divine. We talked about frankincense earlier, one of the 3 gifts of the Magi. Well, myrrh was the third. Gold for a king, frankincense for a priest, and myrrh for a sacrifice. Because even at his birth, myrrh foreshadowed what was to come. In John chapter 19, verse 39, Nicodemus brought myrrh to prepare the body of Jesus for burial. That's how sacred this resin is, and the healing properties are extraordinary. Myrrh has been shown to be a powerful antiseptic, anti-inflammatory, and pain reliever. It supports oral health, fights infection, and has been used in wound care for over 3,000 years. The resin seeps from the bark of the tree like golden tears, and that image tells you everything. Think of it as healing, born from sacred tears. Ancient pain transformed into modern medicine. Number 19. White sage, the purifier of nations. Now, we talked about common sage earlier, but white sage is different. White sage is considered the most sacred of all sage varieties. For the indigenous peoples of California and the American Southwest, it has been the cornerstone of ceremonial purification for thousands of years. It's not just burned to cleanse a room, it's burned to cleanse a soul. The smoke is thicker, more aromatic, and carries a depth that common sage simply doesn't match. If you grow white sage, please do so with respect. Understand its cultural significance, and when you burn it, do it with intention. Think of it as cleansing, not just your home, but your spirit. And finally, number 20, Vervain. Remember I told you about the plant with a controversial past? According to folklore, Vervain was found at the foot of the cross. Legends say it became so revered that in some eras, authorities tried to suppress its use by common folk, calling it a witch's herb, to discourage people from relying on it. They couldn't stop it. The people kept growing it. Today, herbalists use Vervain to support the nervous system and promote restful sleep. It's a reminder that some things in nature are too resilient to be forgotten. When I started this garden, I wasn't looking for positive energy or spiritual healing. I was just a person with some dirt, some seeds, and honestly, a lot of doubt. But somewhere between planting that first rosemary bush and watching it bloom, something shifted. I stopped seeing my garden as just a piece of land. I started seeing it as a gift. And that's what I want you to take away from this video. These 20 plants aren't just ingredients on a list. They are protectors, healers, sacred gifts that have been here since the beginning. The most powerful pharmacy God ever created is the one growing right outside your door. Now, I have a question for you. Out of all 20 plants we just explored together, are you Team Peace, Team Protection, or Team Divine Healing? Drop a comment right now and tell me which plant spoke to your heart. I read every single one. And before you go, one important thing. Always do your own research before introducing any new plant to your garden, especially if you have little ones or furry friends running around. Safety first, always. If you found value in this video, hit that like button. It helps more than you know. And if you want to keep building your sacred garden with me, subscribe and hit that bell. Because we're not just growing plants here. We're building a community of faithful gardeners who believe that the best medicine comes from the earth God gave us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, and may your garden bring your family the healing and protection it deserves.